Given the explosion of the COVID-19 virus in our state and globally, I will sign a statewide executive proclamation later today, temporarily shutting down restaurants, bars, entertainment, and recreational facilities. This order is operational for 2 weeks and obviously may be extended. The reason is quite clear. We represent about 2% of the population of the United States, but we represent over 20% of the infections. Today it's 796 infections. Never since World War II have we faced a situation like this where we both can be part of this battle, but must be part of this battle. This is bigger than all of us, and I am fully confident that Washingtonians will rise to this challenge to get back to a normal state of our life as soon as humanly possible. But all of us have to recognize for the next several weeks, normal is not in our game plan. And I will be announcing both mandatory rules in this regard and a request for Washingtonians to understand that central premise. As Dow said, these decisions are not taken lightly. I know there are enormous economic implications and social disruptions. And in the days to come, we will attempt to do everything we can to minimize and help mitigate some of these challenges. But today, we know we are doing this for a simple reason: to save lives of our loved ones in Washington. And I want to reiterate here, hours count. It's not that weeks count, hours count. And so we need very strong measures to reduce the extent and pace of this infestation. This is our only weapon available to us right now. I want to reiterate that. We are not powerless against this virus, but we have one effective means of defeating it, and that is distancing ourselves from virtually everyone else in the state of Washington. Restaurants will still be allowed to provide takeout service and delivery services, but no in-person on-site dining or drinking of alcohol or coffee or anything else will be allowed under this order. Sit-down food services at colleges will be prohibited, but they will have the ability to have what you might think of as grab-and-go or in-your-room dining. The ban will not apply, obviously, to grocery stores and pharmacies. Other retail outlets that can play an enormous role in this must designate an employer or officer to implement a social distancing plan for the operations of their business. So I want to go through what is included in this ban. Restaurants, except for takeout and remote delivery. Food courts, bars and taverns, coffee shops, donut shops, ice cream parlors, wine and beer tasting venues, breweries and distilleries, beauty salons, barbers and nail salons, tattoo parlors, theaters, bowling alleys, gyms and fitness centers, non-tribal card rooms, museums and art galleries, youth sports and youth clubs. Permitted to continue, among other things, are grocery stores and pharmacies. I do want to be clear about this, though. The supply chain is strong today, and grocery stores will continue operating and providing services to Washingtonians. And I want to thank people in that industry for working day and night to make sure that that will continue.